Hey Cal fans, it's Burke18 again, and today I'm going to look at the North Carolina defense and at some of the ways that Bo Baldwin might try to attack it in our season opener on September 2nd. And in particular, I'm going to focus on the way that North Carolina will line up against our two-back spread formations, where Malik McMorris is that up back. This is a formation that we already used a lot last year, and given our personnel this year, I expect that we're going to see a bunch of it again. North Carolina is going to defend this formation with a four-man defensive line and with a nickel back on the field. And in coverage, they're going to be playing cover four or quarters. This means that even though there are only two safeties deep, they're not dividing the deep field into halves. Instead, those two safeties are only going to be responsible for the middle quarters of the field, and the cornerbacks will take anything that goes deep down the sidelines. There are a lot of ways to play quarters, and North Carolina is going to do it in a way that almost looks like press man in the underneath coverage. And if their receivers go deep, then that's really what it's going to turn into. It's going to look like a man coverage where those safeties are bracketing the receivers from the inside out. If the receivers break inside or outside, on the other hand, or if they cross, then it's going to become clear that this is a zone coverage. And we can see that on this play where these two receivers are going to cross paths, and the nickelback is going to defend the first one to come outside, and the linebacker is going to defend the first one to come inside. One weakness about playing this defensive look against this offensive formation is that the defense is only going to be playing with six guys in the box to go up against the six blockers for the offense, including the five offensive linemen and the fullback. The offense is going to have someone to block every single player in the front, and we see this happening on this play where the fullback leads up to the weak side linebacker, and the safety is not able to get involved in the play until it's already gone for a nice gain. To solve this problem in the box, North Carolina is going to bail the cornerback to play deep coverage and then invert the safety down to be the seventh man in the box. And on this play, we can see him taking on a lead blocker and allowing his teammates to get to the ball in pursuit. When Bo Baldwin's Eastern Washington team played Washington State last season, the Cougars ran a secondary inversion a lot like this one, and here we can see Virginia Tech attacking North Carolina in the same kind of way that Baldwin attacked Washington State. Now what happens here is that when the cornerback bails to play deep coverage and the safety inverts, this opens up a space for the wide receiver to curl up underneath that bailing cornerback and present himself to the quarterback. Now this isn't going to be easy because North Carolina's defensive backs are very good and very aggressive, but this is one potential vulnerability that Baldwin will try to exploit. One difficulty of playing against quarters coverages like this is that it's going to be hard to get the ball to your running back out on the edge. And if we look at this formation, we can see why that is. If we look up at the top of the screen, we see that NC State has two wide receivers, but the North Carolina in their quarters coverage has three defensive backs lined up over them. The nickelback, the cornerback, and the safety who's a little bit off the screen. So the defense has a 3-on-2 advantage, which means that if I try to get the ball to my running back, maybe through a toss or through a swing pass, there's going to be someone out there that NC State's not able to block. Now, the way that NC State's going to solve this problem in this game, and the way that Baldwin solved this problem against Washington State, is with something called the wide receiver run game. So what's actually going to happen here is that NC State's wingback is going to go in motion, and he's going to get the ball as the ball carrier. And this is going to free up the running back, the actual running back, to release out onto the edge to be the third blocker to take out that safety who he would otherwise be unable to block. If you want to know more about how Baldwin uses these kind of plays, I've talked about them in detail in an ebook about the Washington State Eastern Washington game that I've linked to in the description of this video. Last but not least, Baldwin's also going to try to generate some deep shots in the passing game, and here we see a play where Virginia Tech takes advantage of a weakness that Baldwin was also able to exploit when his Eastern Washington Eagles played against Washington State. This looks just like a touchdown throw to Cooper Kupp from that game. Now, any time that a defense plays with split safeties, like North Carolina is going to do in their quarters coverage, it's a good idea to try to attack them with a three-receiver surface, like Virginia Tech's doing here. And the difficulty that this presents to the defense is that usually the cornerback's going to be occupied with the outside receiver, the safety is going to have his attention taken up by the second receiver, and that's going to leave no one directly over this third receiver deep. And if nobody gets over to him, then that's going to let him split those safeties and get a nice touchdown grab right down the middle of the formation. All right, that's all I've got for today. If you want to learn more about how Beau Baldwin attacks quarters coverage, remember to check out my ebook in the description underneath this video. Otherwise, until next time, go Bears!